Hello everybody, welcome to Israel's Church of Living God. I'm Brother Rodney and Brother Caleb will be reading today. We'll be doing the lesson today entitled, The Spirits of Halloween. The Spirits of Halloween. Because that's what men are dealing with when they are dealing with Halloween. That's what people are dealing with. They are dealing with spirits. Now we're going to find out though, are these evil spirits or are these good spirits that men are dealing with? Because you know, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him. But these spirits that we are going to deal with today concerning Halloween, we're going to find out, are these good spirits or these evil spirits? You know, at some point at this time of the season, at this time of the year, the whole world celebrates this holiday called Halloween. And they don't understand who they are really worshiping and what they are really worshiping. And this practice, not this the name, but this ritual goes back to like 698 AD that I could pinpoint in the Bible that men were doing this. So we're going to go to, because we want to see who is really behind this. We're going to 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter. 2 Corinthians 4. And we're going to pick up at verse 3. 2 Corinthians 4 and 3. And we're going to find out who are you really dealing with when you're dealing with Halloween. 2 Corinthians 4 and 3. Can you get that going, brother? Go ahead and read it.
But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost.
See, if this gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Go ahead and read.
In whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not.
See, the God of this, who is the God of this world? That's Satan, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
He said, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. Because if you don't believe the word of God, then your mind is going to be blinded. Because either you're going to serve the Lord or you're going to serve Satan. Whomever you yield your self-service to, that's whose servant you are. Read that verse 4 again.
In whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. Lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine unto them.
Now he said, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not. The God of this world. Let's deal with the God of this world for a minute. Let's see what it is. Let's go to Isaiah the 14th chapter. Isaiah 14. And we're going to pick it up at verse 12. Isaiah 14 and 12. To say he is the God of this world. Isaiah 14 and 12. Go ahead and read it.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
Lucifer, everybody knows this to be Satan, but before he was Satan, he was called Lucifer. And Lucifer means light bearer. So he was created a good angel. Go ahead and read.
How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation?
See, so he was thrown down to the earth, and he did weaken the nations. All the nations have been following after Satan instead of God. So Satan have weakened the nations. Go ahead and read.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
Now, you know, Satan is saying this. So everybody that keep talking about they going to heaven or they want to go to heaven up there, who are they following after? They following after Satan. Because you don't see not one person in the Bible, all except Jesus, saying that, look, he came from there, that he's going back there. But you don't see nobody else in the Bible saying they want to go to heaven, to the third heaven. Man, Satan have weakened the nations by telling men this, that they are going to the third heaven where God the Father, Jesus, and the angels are. And now we see that he is the one that said, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Go ahead and read.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north.
Go ahead.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. This is what he aspired to do. But we know that that's not going to happen. What's verse 15 say?
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Yet you're going to be brought down to hell, Satan, to the sides of the pit. Because he has been already kicked out of heaven. Where is he? When he kicked out of heaven, where did he go to? He came to this earth, and he has been weakening the nations ever since. Started off with Eve. Then Eve took it and gave it to her husband. Right? And man has been dealing with this wicked angel and his dominion ever since. Because you ain't following after God. Who you following after? You following Satan. Man has been dealing with this wicked angel and his dominion ever since. Because we know that Satan, not only was Satan kicked out, but his dominion, his angels was kicked out with him too, right? And they all were kicked out here on this earth. And at this time, during this time of the season, this time of the year, which they call Halloween, they are running rampant. Why? Because men are summoning these angels. They conjuring up these angels, these wicked angels.
Yes, sir.
These evil spirits, thinking that they dealing with the dead, but they know the dead is dead. They can't speak. Neither are they coming back until the Lord wakes them up. Let's go to 1 Peter, the 5th chapter. 1 Peter 5. I know you say, well, you do this lesson every year. Yep, that's because around this time every year, that's when these people start conjuring up these diabolical spirits and stuff. And they just run it rampant. And so I want to keep us in remembrance of this. That these spirits, not only do they work during the year, but they're really working around this time of the year. 1 Peter 5, 1 Peter 5 and 8. Go ahead and read. Look at what Satan is doing now. Ever since he got kicked out of heaven, look at what he's doing. Go ahead and read.
Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour.
This is what he's doing. This is what his job is now. He found out that he can't get up to heaven, to the third heaven. Okay, so I'm going to destroy this earth and take as many people as I can with me. This is what he's trying to do. And he's been successful at it too, isn't he? Because the Lord even told you in the 5th chapter of Matthew, broad is a way that's going to lead to destruction. There's going to be many that's going to go there and that. Narrow and straight is the gate that's going to lead into life, and it's going to be few that's going to find it. So Satan is on his job, ain't he? And we have to be aware of this. We have to be aware on a daily basis that there are evil forces working. And they are working to take us to hell or the lake of fire, because that's their job. So he said, look, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Because that's what he's trying to do, devour you. He knows he got a short time, so look, he's trying to give you a short time too. Misery, love, company. Let's go to Psalms, the 34th chapter. Psalms 34. Because just like Satan got evil angels, him himself being an evil angel, and evil angels working with him, God got his angels too. Psalms 34 and 3, Psalms 34 and 3, depends on who angel you want it to encamp around about you. Psalms 34 and 3, go ahead and read that.
O magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together.
Go ahead.
I sought the Lord, and he heard me, and delivered me from all my fears.
Skip down to verse 6, go ahead.
This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him, and saved him out of all his troubles.
And saved him out of all his troubles. Go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord encamped around about them that fear him.
Ooh, you see that? The angel of the Lord encamped around about them that fear him. And what does he do?
And delivereth them.
And delivereth them. So you don't have to be worried. As long as you serving God, the Lord got his angel encamping round about you. Although you got all these wicked forces working around you, and people that are working with these wicked forces all around you, the angel of the Lord is right there saying, you can't mess with him.
Amen.
See? The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. Keep reading.
and deliver them. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusted in him.
Go ahead.
Oh, fear the Lord, ye his saints, for there is no want to them that fear him.
See, the book always talks about you fearing the Lord. Fearing the Lord. Skip down to verse 15. Go ahead.
The eyes of the Lord are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. The face of the Lord is against them that do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth.
What about this Halloween thing? Everybody knows that this is evil, but yet, man, they get wicked around this time, and they don't care. Everybody starts embracing it. You know, you start seeing the commercials and the ghosts and God and the party favorites and costumes, and everybody started getting enthralled with this. Not remembering that this is wicked. A lot of people don't want to remember it's wicked, but not remembering, not seeing that this is wicked. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to show you these evil spirits that accompany this time called Halloween. And these are not good spirits. These are wicked spirits. And you conjure them up, what you think is going to happen? Here they come. We're going to read about Halloween right here. So we're going to World Book Encyclopedia. And we're going to read about Halloween. So everybody just be cool, because we're going to do some reading today. You know, I know a brother said, well, you always going to the encyclopedia. I can't find it in the Bible. I can't find the word Halloween in the Bible. So we're just going to read this right here real quick.
World Book Encyclopedia, Volume H. Excuse me. Halloween is a festival that takes place on October the 31st in the United States. Children wear costumes on Halloween and go trick or treating. Many carve jack-o'-lanterns out of the pumpkins.
Now, many carve jack-o'-lanterns out of the pumpkin. Now, I'm going to show you something in a minute. Go ahead and read.
At Halloween parties, people enjoy such activities as fortune-telling.
Fortune-telling. Now, you know, the Lord told you don't be trying to deal with divination. And that's fortune-telling and foretelling the future and everything. Psychic stuff. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Activities as fortune-telling, hearing stories about ghosts and witches, and bobbing for apples.
Ghosts and witches and bobbing. We're going to come back to this in a minute. Now, look at all of these things that's associated with Halloween. We're going to read it one more time. This time we're going into the National Encyclopedia, and we're going to read this right here. Because you can't, like I say, you can't find these things. Although we can find a ritual that's being done in the Bible, it's not called Halloween, though.
The National Encyclopedia, Volume 4. Excuse me, it says Halloween or Halloween. It says the evening of October the 31st, which precedes November the 1st, known as the Festival of All Saints.
Now, wait a minute. Where did this come from? The festival. We're going to deal with that a little bit, too, called the Festival of the Saints. Ain't nothing in the Bible called the Festival of the Saints. We're going to see where this come from. See, people don't understand how deep the roots go when it comes to this thing called Halloween. But go ahead and read.
On this evening, witches and all sorts of mischievous spirits.
Stop right there. Witches and all sorts of mischievous spirits. Go ahead.
Are supposed to be abroad.
The
belief in spirits abroad has faded out. Yet the many pranks still played on the evening indicate that unusual agencies are at work.
Now see, you know, some unusual things happen still at this time. Although people say, well, we're not doing the spirits, we're not messing with no spirits, we're just bobbing for apples and stuff on this day. But it's a lot of strange things going on at this time, aren't it? You know, we used to hear about it when we were kids and stuff. People putting razor blades in apples and poisoning candy and all type of stuff. People getting killed strangely this day or this night. Go ahead and read.
It says see All Saints Day.
Now we're going to see that a little bit later. All Saints Day. So it's got quite a few names that this day is called. But we just deal basically with the name called Halloween. All right, now, let me show you something here. Because this ritual of Halloween, not the name, but this ritual, not All Saints Day, but the ritual of it was being practiced all the way back. I could go back as far as 1698 BC. BC. Now look, we're going to go look at this King Manasseh right here. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, the 33rd chapter. 2 Chronicles, the 33rd chapter. And look at what he was doing. The same ritual that men are practicing today. It's just called Halloween. 2 Chronicles 33, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. 2 Chronicles 33 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem, but did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, likened unto the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel. For he built again the high places which Hezekiah his father had broken down, and he reared up altars for Baalim, and made groves, and worshiped all the host of heaven, and served
Now
them.
what does he mean he worshiped all the hosts? You got the sun, the moon, and the stars. Those are hosts, and the planets. Those are hosts of heaven right there. He's worshiping them. Look what else he was doing. Go ahead.
And served them. Also he built altars in the house of the Lord, whereof the Lord had said, in Jerusalem shall my name be forever. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the 2 courts of the house of the Lord. And he caused his children to pass through the fire.
Stop right there. And he caused his children to pass through the fire. In other words, he burnt his children up. He burnt his children up. Look at what else he does. Go ahead.
And he caused his children to pass through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom. Also he observed time.
He observed time. You know, that fortune telling stuff. Like we just read about Halloween. Go ahead and read.
And used enchantments.
And he used enchantments. Go ahead.
And used witchcraft. And dealt with a familiar spirit.
Go ahead.
And with wizards. He wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger.
Now we're going to stop right now. Read verse 7. So he did all this evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him. What he did? He did observance of times. Right? Used enchantment. Witchcraft. Dealt with familiar spirits. We're going to find out what these familiar spirits are. He dealt with wizards. What is a wizard? Wizard is a male witch. Well, we see he was dealing with witchcraft though too, wasn't he?
Yes, sir. And
with wizards, he wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. Go ahead. What else did he do?
7. And he set in carved image. He set a carved image, the idol which he had made in the house of God.
Now look at that now. Now look, he said, and he set a carved image, the idol which he had made in the house of God. Didn't we just read about jack-o'-lanterns? Same thing he doing, isn't he? Same thing that the men are doing now here in the 21st century, calling it Halloween. He done the same thing. This is around 698 BC. He's doing this same ritual. Familiar spirits, enchantments, dealing with witchcraft, wizards. And then he said, he did what? He set a carved image, the idol which he made in the house of God. That is really something, ain't it? Now I'm going to show you something that men are doing even today. We're going to get to it later on. That men are doing it today. They're going to call it the Feast of Harvest instead of how they changed the name from Halloween to the Harvest Day. Well, a rose by any other name is still a rose. You're still doing the same thing that the Lord commanded you not to do. Finish that verse 7.
Yes, sir. It says, in the house of God, of which God had said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen before all the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. 8.
Okay, so now he made this carved image, the idol which he had made in the house of his God, right? But the Lord said, don't do this, right? Let's go now. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 18th chapter. And let's go back and look at the law concerning this matter. Deuteronomy 18, because you know there was a law against this. God had his laws that were against this. And these laws are even good today. Deuteronomy 18:9, go ahead and read it.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations.
But look, that's what Manasseh did. He was learning, he was doing abomination of those nations, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
So the Lord said, you know what? When you come into these nations, Israel, don't do after the abomination. And what is Israel doing now? After the abominations of this nation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He said, don't do after the abominations of these nations. Go ahead and read. Verse 10.
10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire.
What did Manasseh do? Did he make his children to pass through the fire? And we're going to find out when this ritual started with the Gentiles, they also made their children pass through the fire too. See, this ritual goes back all the way back to the 7th century BC. Go ahead and read.
Anyone that maketh his son or his daughter pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or any observer of time, or an enchanter, or a witch,
Go ahead.
or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits,
Go ahead.
or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord.
All that do these things are abomination unto the Lord. Go ahead.
And because of these abominations of the Lord thy God, dost drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God.
Go ahead.
For these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observers of time, and unto diviners, But as for thee, the Lord thy God hath not suffered thee so to do.
For the Lord of God hath not suffered thee to do so. So we're not supposed to be following after the nations, are we?
No,
he told them all the way back here during the time of Moses, look, Moses, you tell the people, don't follow these people or these nations because they work with necromancers, with diviners, with charmers, with witches, with familiar spirits. Don't do this. What is Israel doing right now? Same thing the Lord commanded them not to do in the land of these other nations. We're doing it even today. Now we're going to look up a word right here. We're going to look up the word divination. But for this we're going to Reader's Digest Encyclopedia Dictionary. And we're looking up divination. What does divination mean? Just read this one up here.
Yes, sir. The Reader's Digest Great Encyclopedia Dictionary. Page 389, divination. The act or art of foretelling the future or of discovering.
Hold on, isn't that what we just read that they were doing on Halloween? They were foretelling the future. And it's called what? Divination. But the Lord just called this an abomination before him. Everybody understand?
Yes, sir.
He called this an abomination before him. And men are still doing this same thing today. Ain't nothing changed. It just went on from generation to generation. But go ahead and read some more.
Yes, sir. Again, it's the act or art of foretelling the future, of discovering by supernatural or intuitive means that which is hidden or unknown, that which is foretold, a prophecy.
A prophecy. So but the Lord just called this. Go ahead and read it.
A successful, clever guess? No?
No. That's fine.
Keep reading.
You want to read that? Yeah.
It says divine, of or pertaining to God, or a God also, or pertaining to theology.
Okay.
Divine
So now,
studies.
all right. So now, but we may want to stick with divination, right?
Right.
So now, so we understand that divination is divining to these or foretelling stories, right? Foretelling the future. And the Lord called this an abomination. And I'm going to show you why he called this abomination in a minute. So now we're going to look up one more thing right here. We're going to go back to the dictionary. We're going to look up witch. Now everybody knows what a witch is, wicked. You know, my granddaughter said, I'm going to dress up like a good witch. She don't know no better. I'm going to dress up like, ain't no such thing as no good witch. I had to tell her that there's no such thing. Because I know we watch The Wizard of Oz and we see Glinda, the good witch and all of that stuff. But ain't no such thing though. So now, we're going to read about a witch right there. What does it say?
Again, this is the Reader Digest, Great Encyclopedia, page 1542. Witch. A person who practices sorcery.
A person that practices sorcery. Now, everybody knows that sorcery, that is wickedness, don't it?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
So there's one having supernatural powers, especially to work evil and unusually by association with evil spirits or the devil.
Oh, look at this. They working and in conjunction with evil spirits. With wicked spirits.
Or the devil.
Or the devil. That's even worse, ain't it?
Come on, brother.
Go ahead and read.
That's it.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
So now, the witch, she is working in conjunction with evil spirits and the devil. And we're going to read one more thing here. Familiar spirits. What are familiar spirits? We're going to Revell Bible Dictionary, and we're looking up familiar spirits.
Yes, sir. Revell Bible Dictionary, page 370. Familiar spirit, an occult term for the ghost.
An occult term for a ghost. An occult term.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Or spirit being summoned by a medium. A person with a familiar spirit is a medium or spiritist in communication with the dead.
In communication with the dead. Can the dead communicate? Go ahead.
Says, while many so-called mediums rely on trickery, some make contact with actual demonic beings.
Oh, that's who they contacted? Because I don't care if you're a witch, I don't care who you are, you cannot contact the dead. So if you ain't contacting the dead and then you talking to somebody, you see something, what you seeing? Evil spirits.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read. Because this ain't nothing to play. God knows what he was doing when he told man not to deal with this.
Amen.
Go ahead and read.
The Old Testament take this possibility seriously and strictly prohibits such occult practices.
Oh.
A man or woman who is a medium or spiritist among you must be put to death.
Oh, see, God, so you know, like we used to see them psychics in the 80s and 90s, Miss Cleo, for one, I don't really call nobody's name, call me now. Remember she used to say that? And you see all these mediums and psychics on TV in the 90s and everything. Getting that money, wasn't it? Then you had one lady, she was on Montel's show. She was a psychic, she was calling it, wasn't she? But she was talking about she dealing with the dead. You ain't dealing with she wasn't dealing with the dead. The dead don't talk. The dead don't know nothing. But what was she dealing with? She was dealing with evil spirits or wicked spirits. And the Lord calls this what? An abomination before him.
Yes, sir.
He called this an abomination. So now you think because that, which we were read about all the way back in 698 BC, right? Then we're going to read something that goes back to 800 AD. Then we're going to read something that comes down to now. And the Lord still say the same thing about it. It is an abomination unto him. Ain't nothing changed. Men haven't changed with this wickedness. And we know the Lord, he don't change, do we?
Come on, brother.
He don't change. Let's go now. Let's go to Leviticus, the 20th chapter. Leviticus, the 20th chapter, because this thing is very serious. And we're going to put this on YouTube, and we're going to put this on our television show to show people, look, that you are not to be dabbling in these wicked arts, because that's what they are. They are wicked. We're at Leviticus 20 and 27. Leviticus 20 and 27. Go ahead and read it.
A man also or woman that have familiar spirit or that is a wizard shall surely be put to death.
Now, you know, if God saying you're going to be put to death or you should be put to death for this, you know it's wicked now, don't you?
Come on, bro.
If he said God is a fair God, ain't he? He ain't going to just kill nobody. So he said, look, a man, also a woman that have a familiar spirit, or that is a wizard, which is a male witch, shall surely be put to death.
They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them.
Now this is a law right here. This is a law.
Yes, sir.
You understand? So now we understand now that this thing with this familiar spirit, this is a wicked thing, isn't it?
Come on, brother. Yes, sir.
These are evil spirits. The spirits of Halloween are what? Evil spirits.
Mike.
Let's go now. Let's go to 1 Samuel. Cause we're gonna look up some definitions. We're gonna look up necromancer. What's a necromancer? Because he called that too. He said, don't deal with people that deal with necromancy too, didn't he?
Yes,
what does the word necromancy mean?
Yes, sir. This is Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. Page 393. Necromancer, necromancy. It says necromancy was a form of witchcraft.
It's a form of witchcraft.
And was considered as one of the black or diabolical arts.
Oh, it is considered one of the black, or you hear that word diabolical, you know that's wicked, don't you? It's like that's the ultimate thing. You hear that word diabolical, everybody, ooh. Read that again.
Yes, sir. Yes, it says necromancy was a form of witchcraft and was considered as one of the black or diabolical arts. Etymologically, the term signifies conversing with the dead.
Oh, wait a minute. The term is conversing with the dead. Now, wait a minute. You can't. The dead is dead, aren't they? You can't converse with them. If that was the case, then I'd be sitting up here, I'd be talking to my father and asking him a bunch of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Some of my dead loved ones that's been buried for a while, I summon some of them. You understand what I'm saying? If you can talk to the dead,
do it.
Go ahead and read.
It says, yes, etymologically, the term signifies conversing with the dead for purposes of consultation or divination.
See, for consultation or divination, in other words, we want you to tell us what's going to happen in the future. You understand? Consultation or divination. You understand? See, this is what people are doing these days. They still doing this.
Yes, sir.
Not just for Halloween, but you can pass by some of the little towns and you'll see where they got a sign of saying palm reading or tarot cards. All this type of stuff. Men are still doing it even today, although it's been outlawed by God thousands of years ago. It's been outlawed by God thousands of years ago, and men are still doing it today. Just like God ain't saying nothing. And then, a lot of people that's doing these things are calling themselves Christians. That's doing it in the church, doing these things. As though God gonna give you some type of pass for doing this. Let's go. I'm gonna show you a little bit later on. Now we're gonna look up the word Halloween again, and we're going to World Book Encyclopedia again. We're gonna look up the word Halloween, because like I said earlier, you can't find this in the Bible. You can find where this ritual was somewhat being done, but you cannot find this particular name. So we're going to start with this one and this one.
All right. It says Halloween, the Celtic festival, Samhain.
Yeah, read up loud.
It says Halloween, the Celtic festival of Samhain, this is page 25, is probably the source of the present day Halloween celebration. The Celts lived more than 2,000 years ago.
Stop right there. The Celts lived more than 2,000 years ago. Now this is around the time of Christ, ain't it? So we done went all the way down, all the way back from 698 BC, all the way down to around, what is it? That would be around 33 AD. All the way around to the time of Christ. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. The Celts lived more than 2,000 years ago in what is now Great Britain, Ireland, and northern France.
Now, so we're dealing with Gentiles right here now, aren't we? Not Israel, but the Gentiles. The Gentiles start practicing this stuff too. Necromancy, familiar spirits, and all that stuff. They start practicing it too. Now, this is 2,000 years ago. Not to mention, we go all the way back to 698 BC when when King Manasseh was doing it. But he was learning from the nations too himself, wasn't he? Now look, 2,000 years later, 2,000 years before us, they were doing this. Go ahead, because we're going to get down to even today. We're going to show you generation by generation. Go ahead and read.
Their new year began on November the 1st, a festival that began the previous evening honored Saman.
Saman. This is a false deity. Go ahead.
The Celtic lord of death.
See, the Celtic lord of death. Now, ain't no such thing as that in the Bible, is it? So some man done conjured this up or made this up in his own imagination, didn't he? Go ahead.
The celebration marked the beginning of the season of cold, darkness, and decay. It naturally became associated with human death. The Celts believed that Saman allowed the souls of the dead to return to their earthly homes for this evening.
This guy, this false deity called Saman, he allowed the dead souls to come home that evening for Halloween. Now, what kind of mess? Come on, man. People, this thing is deep with this Halloween. People just don't understand what they are doing when they do this. What the next paragraph say?
On the evening of the festival, the Druids,
the
Druids, who were the priests and teachers of the Celts, ordered the people to put out their hearth fires. The Druids built a huge New Year's bonfire of oak branches, which they considered sacred.
Now stop right there, because the Druids, they have been practicing their rituals for thousands of years. They even have, I was just looking, they got a modern day Druids still practicing. I'm not saying that they doing these same practices like killing animals and stuff like that. I'm not saying they do, but you still have this fraternity called the Druids. Even today. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. It says they burn animals, crops, possibly even human beings as sacrifices.
But didn't the Lord say don't let your children pass through the fire? And then this Manasseh, isn't that what he was doing? Had his kids to pass through the fire? Now look, the Gentiles doing it now. They had their kids and burning crops and animals and stuff, passing through the fire. This 2,000 years ago. Go ahead and read.
Yes, sir. They burn animal, crops, and possibly even human beings as sacrifices. Then each family relit its hearth fire from the New Year's fire.
This hearth fire, that's a heater or a stove. That's what this hearth is. But go ahead.
During the celebration, people sometimes wore costumes made of animal heads and skins. They told fortunes about the coming year by examining...
Stop. Wait a minute. Didn't we just read about necromancy, foretelling the future? Isn't that what that is? Divining, foretelling the future. God said, don't do this, an abomination before him. Now we got the Gentiles doing it. Israel was doing it, now the Gentiles doing it. This is 2,000 years ago. This is associated with this Halloween thing. Go ahead and read.
They told fortunes about the coming year by examining the remains of animals that had been sacrificed.
That's it? Now look how wicked this is. They killing animals, killing crops, burning people. Look how wicked this is. And you still want your children to do this? You still would actually have your children dressing up? Because we're going to look at these costumes in a minute where it come from. You still would actually have your children celebrating this holiday when it goes back to all these abominations which God called abominations, not me. God called them abominations. Let's go look at this. Let's go look at something right here. Because here's one that was dealing with a familiar spirit. Because the Lord said don't deal with no familiar spirits, didn't he?
That's right.
He said the one that deal with familiar spirits, put them to death. Let's go to 1 Samuel, the 28th chapter. 1 Samuel 28. 1 Samuel 28, and we're going to pick it up at verse 3. 1 Samuel 28 and 3. Now here's a king, another king in Israel dealing with familiar spirits. And then it's Saul. So we saw earlier that King Manasseh, he dealt with familiar spirits and witchcraft and all of that, didn't he? And we're going to find out what happened to that Manasseh too. I meant to tell you that earlier. We're going to find out what happened to Manasseh later on in this lesson. But first, we're going to see what happened to Saul when he dealt with familiar spirits. We have 1 Samuel 28 and 3. 1 Samuel 28 and 3. Go ahead and read it.
Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land.
Now look what Saul did, King Saul. He put out the ones that was dealing with familiar spirits and wizards. He put them out of the land. At this time he understood that these were wicked. At that time. But then the Lord, Saul would start doing sacrifices and doing stuff against the Lord, which the Lord commanded him not to do. Samuel was dead, so he couldn't go and consult with Samuel no more, so he had to do something. He had to do something. Now he had already put all the people that deal with familiar spirits and wizards. Now skip down to verse 7. Go ahead and read.
Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that have a familiar spirit.
Now look at what he's doing. Because he couldn't talk to Samuel no more, which had died. You understand? So now, since the Lord wasn't talking to Saul no more, he wasn't dealing with Saul no more because of his wickedness. Now, what did Saul do? He said, inquire of the Lord. And then said Saul unto the servant, seek me a woman that have a familiar spirit. Go ahead and read.
That I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath the familiar spirit in Endor.
They said, we got one left, a woman in Endor. She deal with familiar spirits, Saul. Go ahead and read.
Verse 8. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit.
See, now he went to her at night. Ooh. You understand? Make it real spooky or whatever. He going to her at night. So now, they found this woman in Endor that, now remember now, she deal with what? What are familiar spirits? Those are evil spirits, right? That's what familiar spirits are. So keep in mind, that's who they going to deal with, a woman that have a familiar spirit. Go ahead, because you got some brothers say that when, well, keep reading.
Yes, sir. He said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up. Whom I shall name unto thee.
Go ahead.
And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done. How he have cut off those that have familiar spirits.
Go
and
ahead.
the wizards.
He ain't get up. He ain't cut off, did he? Because she's still there, ain't she? He forgot about her. Go ahead and read that verse again now.
And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done. How he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits and wizards out of the land.
Go ahead.
Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die?
Now you say, you know what Saul done. You laying a snare for where you laying a trap for me, so Saul can come and kill me. Because he put all the people that out of the land, cut off all the people out of the land that deal with familiar spirits. So what y'all come to mess with me for? I guess she was trying to, play low key, But go ahead and read.
And Saul swore to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, who shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel.
And bring me up Samuel. Now Samuel was a prophet at that time that had died. That was Saul's guy. But go ahead and read.
And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? for thou art Saul.
Now she know who she dealing with now, right? She said, why have you deceived me? Thou art Saul. Go ahead and read.
And the king said to her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth.
I saw gods ascending out of, what did they go to her for? To conjure up what? A familiar spirit. That's what we're dealing with. That's what she's dealing with. And that's what she said she seen. I saw gods ascending out of earth. Familiar spirits. Go ahead and read.
And he said to her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and is covered with a mantle.
Go ahead.
And Saul perceived that it was Samuel.
And Saul perceived that it was Samuel. He perceived that it was Samuel. Go ahead and read.
And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me?
Now look, and Samuel said, was that Samuel talking to Saul? Samuel was dead. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me?
To bring me up. And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me.
Now wait a minute, now do you see what he said? And why? Now if man was in heaven, especially righteous man, he would say, why would you bring me down then, wouldn't he? If he was in heaven. But he said, why hast thou brought me up? But this is not Samuel that she is dealing with, that Saul is dealing with. Who is he really dealing with? A familiar spirit, because that's what this woman, that was her profession. She